inspiration, motivation, encouragement, empowerment. You need inspiration, a little bit of motivation. See, it's thank you for tuning in to the show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sponsors of the show. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to On Fire to Inspire. I am your host, Aleigha. Thank you so much for the birthday blessings. Thank you. Tell me where y'all tuning in tonight. Tonight is our birthday segment, and tonight's topic is mindful pause. I'm so excited about doing the show. People are saying, so you still going to do the show even though it's your birthday? Absolutely, because God has given me a gift, and I'm sharing this gift with you all tonight. And so I'm so happy to have my sister in Christ back with us tonight. With us doing the mindful pause. Before we jump in, we're going to take a pause for the cause and thank all of our sponsors. I want to thank the Brown team. Y'all, want to tell you the Brown team is awesome. Cornelia and Bernard are an awesome team who are with Metro Brokers of Atlanta. They're with Better Homes and Gardens, and they are a top selling team. They just placed in top selling team yet again, and they have a combined 35 years plus experience together, bringing everything that you need to the table for real estate. So if you need someone to help you with an investment property, help you with buying, selling, whatever, that team will take care of you. And you can reach them at 404-843-2500. Again, that's 404-843-2500 or 404-786-0873. Ask for Cornelia, because when I tell you you're not just a number to them, you are a person to them, and they treat you like family, because that's their heart, y'all. And then we have mombizboss.org. All my female entrepreneurs. Mom stands for multiple operational managers. So moms, if you're not a part of Mom Biz Boss, you want to join them today. mombizboss.org. And I tell you, they just had their an awesome retreat. I didn't get to attend. I was so upset about that, but life is happening, and it's real. You got to be in the moment and be present, right? Unique Expression by Designs, uebdesigns.com. Thank you for all of our jewelry, and y'all see me repping the jewelry on a weekly basis. Thank you again. That's uebdesigns.com. And then finally, y'all, if you have not purchased any of my products, if you go to www.onfiretoinspire.com, that can be your birthday gift to me. You can purchase any of the books or the digital product that I released last year called Moving from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. So you can do that. We're going to be doing parties soon. Actually, we're scheduling now. So if you're interested in hosting a party, email onfiretoinspire@gmail.com, and in the subject matter, put coloring party, and we'll tell you more about that. And that is with the coloring book, I Am Inspirational Coloring Book. We'll talk more about that. If you're interested, email us. And again, thank you so much for every sponsor and everyone that has joined. Thank y'all. Do me a favor and hit that share button, because when I tell y'all tonight is going to be a treat. We have my sister in Christ, Natalie Warren, back. She is a transformational coach. She is the woman who just, when I tell y'all, there's a place of peace that she can take you to. And now that she's a certified, I don't even know her new title, so I'll let her tell us all that. So let's welcome her back to the platform. Welcome back on Friday Inspire. How are you doing this evening?
Aleigha, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure to be with you on the show.
Thank you. So I want you, for the people who are new to us, and tell them who you are, because you got a new title too. So tell us about all that.
Thank you. I'm happy to share. I am personally, I always like to start with the personal stuff, Aleigha, but I am a mom of three little people. So I have a 5, 7, and a 9-year-old. So when you met me at some point, they were tiny,
Yes.
but they are growing, and I'm a wife. We are celebrating, my husband and I, 11 years on Saturday of marriage.
breathe.
Thank you. So it has been quite a journey in my personal life, but they allow me to do what I do professionally. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start with my personal life and what I am on that side. But on the professional side, what I get to do, Aleigha, I love what I get to do. Professionally, I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm an entrepreneur and have been in private practice for 14 years. And in that, I have turned into a transformational life coach, a host of retreats and live events. I get to support women really transform their lives from the inside out. And more recently, I became a certified trauma informed breathwork facilitator to really help people to connect with the breath and the power that God gave us with breathing. So I just love, love, love that I get to do life and I get to support other people do life as well.
Amen, amen, and amen. So, how did you get to this mindful pause? My normal question is, what does that mean to you? But how did you arrive at this? Because this is actually one of your titles. So, how did you arrive? How did you get to the mindful pause?
Great question. I did not intentionally get to the mindful pause. Life caused me to pause. So we all were obviously in a pandemic, and the pandemic had a tremendous impact on my industry and the work that I get to do. And so obviously a lot of us, as many people, first responders and helpers, we stood up to the plate to support people, and I did that. And at the end of probably around this time last year, I realized that I was tired. I had given more than I had ever given in my business and to the people that I serve. And I was tired. And so I ended up going on a family vacation at the end of the year. I was like, honey, we're going on vacation around Christmas time. We didn't typically do that, but I needed to pause. And then I started that next year, the beginning of this year, in a retreat because I needed to pause. How did I know I needed to pause? Because things were just happening in my life. You know how sometimes you don't remember things, they're just happening. You can't recall what you did, when you did it. You were just going through the motions. And I knew I was in my mind doing it well, but I wasn't doing it well. And I was getting tired. And so, yes, it afforded me an opportunity to say, Natalie, you need to pause. And that was the beginning of the mindful pause. But it was something that I needed to do.
And you know what? So many people are in need of this, and they don't know how to do this. So, before we get into that part, what does it mean for a person to actually take a mindful pause?
Good question. I think it really takes you having some self reflection. I had to start to pause and reflect on where am I? How am I really doing? Um, a lot of the times, what we don't realize is the level of stress that we're under. And is our level of self care and really like reflection, is it reflective of the level of of the stress that we're dealing with? And so that assessment for me was to look at, Natalie, here's the level of stress, and your self care isn't matching where you are. You need to pause. And so it started with that self reflection. And then it just looked like, okay, what am I going to do different? What am I going to do different? And so taking that vacation was a part of it. Going on that retreat was a part of it. And the other thing that I clearly heard God kept telling me was to clear your schedule. My schedule was so bananas. I couldn't even go to my kids' school if I wanted to go to my kids' school and enjoy a field day. I just couldn't do it. And so it also looked like me hearing God say, clear your schedule, make room for opportunities. Um, Make room. And I started to do that. I started to move things around so that I could pause and do some of the things that I got to do at that time.
I love that. Clear your schedule and make room for opportunities because you're so busy being busy. Like you said, you work for yourself and you couldn't even go to field day if you wanted to. And it's like,
Mhm.
I work for myself, and that's part of why I work for myself to be able to be available when I need to be. But you were too busy to be. So,
Mhm.
wow, 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 wow. So, what are some of the benefits to taking this mindful pause?
Mhm. Well, one of the things before we talk about the benefits, the consequences when we don't take a
Okay.
mindful pause is going to lead us to the benefits is we eventually become stressed, overwhelmed, or burnt out. Um, And I have in my life been in burnout before. So if you've never experienced burnout, burnout is exhaustion, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally exhausted. And people can find themselves there. And I oftentimes think of burnout as drinking water. So this idea that when we drink water, by the time you realize you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. By the time you realize, you say, I think I'm thirsty. You're already dehydrated. Which is why they tell us to drink so much water. Well, burnout is very similar to that, in that by the time you realize you're burnt out, you're either very close to it or you're already in it. And so I have already experienced that professionally before. And so I realized the consequences of it was that I could very well end up in burnout, a place that can be very hard to recover from. And so the benefit of mindful pause is to really give yourself what you need. And sometimes we ignore that, Aleigha. I'm so guilty. Sometimes my eyes are burning, like burning, and I'm going, oh, I think I can stay up a little bit longer. Let me finish what I'm doing right now. Versus me saying, Natalie, your body is telling you you're tired. Go sit down somewhere, right? So the benefit of a mindful pause is you listen to what your body is saying. Like, God has given our bodies so much intelligence, the ability for us to breathe 26,000 breaths every day. And we don't even do anything for that to happen. The way that our heart beats and blood is circulated throughout the body, like all of these amazing things that happens to us through the power of the body that God has given us. When we're in a place of a mindful pause, another benefit is that we listen, we're tuned in, we know how we feel. Because when we're not mindful, we aren't aware of how we're really feeling. And a part of what I teach with the mindful pause is leaning into the body and saying, okay, how do I really feel about this? So it improves your overall health, your mental, emotional, spiritual health. When we pause, it really supports you, because a part of it is healthy eating. And that was another thing that I have definitely been doing a lot better with. My body would tell me when it didn't want something, but like many of us, we ignore it. We eat it anyway because we enjoy it.
Yes.
But mindful pause looks like, okay, Natalie, let me put into the body what it really needs to function. And I definitely incorporated a lot more practices of healthier eating and eliminating things that just no longer serve the body. So the benefits are just numerous. Those are just a few that I can name in this moment.
Wow. I mean, those by themselves, improving overall health. Um, and one of the things that when you do take those mindful pauses, and especially with the cleaning, the eating cleaner,
Mhm.
that helps with the mental fog too. You know,
Absolutely.
I've experienced that personally.
Absolutely. It's all connected. And I think that's a part of mindful pause as well. And the components that I really worked on was, it's a mind body connection, right? You work on the body, it's going to improve the mind. You work on the mind, it's going to improve the body. You're one being, mind, body, and spirit. And so the mindful pause makes you more connected in mind and body. And sometimes that is something we don't realize.
I love that. I love that. So, what are some practical ways that one can, integrate some of these in their daily routines?
I love it. I love it. Mindful pauses are something that you can do in your daily routine. So, one of my favorite that I incorporate is mindfulness. And mindfulness is just being aware of what is in the moment without trying to change it or judge it. So we do this a lot, right? Where we're not mindful. Many of us, for an example, take showers. And when you're taking your shower, you're thinking about something else, right? We're thinking about what we're going to eat, what our schedule is going to be like. Are we going to be late? Is there traffic? Like, many things are going through your head. So an example of a mindful pause is just being mindful when you're doing things that you do all the time. Another example is when we're eating. Like, how many times do we eat and we swallow the food? I mean, literally swallow it. You don't even remember the experience. A mindful pause when eating looks like, sometimes close my eyes. And in those first 3 bites, if I can't do any more than that, I enjoy those 3 bites. The temperature of the food, the seasonings, the textures, the sounds, all of those things I become very in tune with, because when we're in a place of a mindful pause, you're present in that moment. You are there. You're not some other place, some other thing. You're not in the future, stressing, anxious, or worried. You're not in the past, depressed and overwhelmed. I mean, depressed or regretful or feeling guilty. You are in that moment. Or another example of a practical thing for mindfulness is when you're driving. Like, how many times do we drive somewhere, you get to the destination and you don't remember any of the ride? I mean, you like, did I run through a light? Did I stop at the stop sign? The reason why, though, is because you weren't in that moment. And so those are some practical ways to be mindful while we're actually doing everyday activities. And so sometimes people will say to me, Natalie, I don't have time. And so I'm not going to add anything to what you're already doing. We're just going to incorporate it with what you're already doing. That's definitely one of the ways to do a mindful pause. I can share other ways because there's 5 or 6 pieces to the mindful pause, but mindfulness is one of them. Breathing, I'll talk about that one because I just talked about certified breath work. We take 26,000 breaths a day, Aleigha, but we don't think about any of them. And when we're stressed or overwhelmed, we breathe very shallow or we hold our breath. And that's what many of us do, right? So even in this moment, I just take a deep, intentional breath. And that's something that can help us. When we actually breathe deeply, it actually resets the stress response system in the body. So we feel more relaxed, more calm. We drop our shoulders, right? Because most of the day we're like this because we're stressed and overwhelmed, but we are able to drop our shoulders, release a lot of tension that the body holds. There's so many ways. Those are just a few. We can talk more about others, but I wanted to pause because those are things that people can do practically.
Yes. So many people are so stressed. You're hearing more and more people are experiencing health issues due to the levels of stress that they're under, be it work, family life, or work, family life, and everything else. All of these things kind of colliding because we're not taking those mindful pauses. And so, what would you tell that busy single mom that has multiple children that are in every activity unknown to man, and she's putting on skates to get them to that
Mm.
next thing? What would you say to that mom to help her get to this place of being able to incorporate this in her daily life?
Yes. Good question. Good question. Because definitely she has responsibilities that are pulling at her, right? That are requiring something of her. But I would invite her to, if nothing else, find 15 minutes a day to do something that's a mindful pause, whether that is breathing. So she could start her morning with 5 cleansing breaths and end her day with 5 cleansing breaths, where she just intentionally breathes in through her nose, holds it, and exhales through her mouth. That for her can be very, very supportive. She may be thinking, I don't have time. Those things that I gave about mindfulness won't require time. When she is at the game, because maybe she has to drop those babies off, she just gets in her 5 senses while she's there. She sees everything that she can see, touch, taste, smell, and hear. That won't require much more of her because that may be a lot, right? To do something extra. But while she's at that game, if she can just get into her 5 senses, she actually is going to be giving herself some support. If it is one of my favorite things with mindful pause is prayer, where for her, her life is pulling her in different directions. She may feel overwhelmed. She may feel afraid. One of my favorite prayers, Aleigha, is God, heal my fear based thoughts about. Heal my fear based thoughts about, because perhaps for that single mom, she's got a whole lot of fears, right? She's concerned about many things. And so a mindful pause could just be a simple prayer where she says, God, heal my fear based thoughts about finances, heal my fear based thoughts about my kids and them getting hurt in the game, whatever it is. I would offer her that there are some things she can do, even in a busy, chaotic life.
I love what you were saying about being present. And it's funny because I tell my clients that you have to be present and you have to be intentional. because we can't press rewind on our lives. We can't press rewind on our children's childhoods. And so we have to be intentional about being present. And that's something that being in a busy life, you have to kind of slow it down and tune in to realize that you're not seeing anything. And I think now it took me moving back to South Carolina from living in Georgia, with the hustle and bustle and working downtown and doing this and doing that after all those years, being able to just be present and see, wow, look at the sky. Wow, look at the trees. It's like you see through a new set of eyes. Why? Because you're
Yes.
intentionally being present now.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Simple things is looking at the sky is something she could do as she's at the game.
Yeah.
Finding a tree and finding the details in the tree and things that maybe she didn't notice. There's so many ways because that itself will bring her in the moment and slow down things. If nothing else, it slows it down in that moment for her or for
Mhm.
you and I, right? Because we all need these moments.
Right.
So those are great examples of easy ways to do this.
Yes, absolutely. So if a person was saying, you know what, Natalie, I like what you're talking about, and I want to see how can I become a part of this stuff that you're talking about. How would they connect and to be able to move forward and getting this, in doing this beyond just doing it alone.
Absolutely. And I will share that sometimes we do need support to do something like this because we're conditioned to keep going. We train our brains to multitask. I know many of us tell ourselves we do it well, like, oh, I can multitask, I do this well. But one of the things that does is it trains your brain not to be able to slow down and focus on one thing. So by the time you try to sit down and go, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be present, the mind is going to be doing all of this because that's what you did all day long. So sometimes people need support. They need help. Like one of the parts for me for mindful pause is meditation. I remember God taught me how to meditate, Aleigha, at 5 a.m. prayer. And I was at 5 a.m. prayer, first issue. Um, and I had to be silent. So I was obviously in prayer and we communicate with God. We typically talk. And so God says, no, I want you to be quiet. And for 45 minutes at 5 a.m. in the morning, I had to say nothing. Well, you can imagine every thought in the book came up, right? It's cold. I want to get on the floor. What I'm going to eat for dinner. Why I got to do this. Is it over yet? What time is it? All of those thoughts. But I eventually got to a place where I could quiet those thoughts. And when I tell you there was a peace that surpasseth all understanding, the clarity of me being able to hear God was just phenomenal. I'll never, ever forget what he taught me. So I say that to say that sometimes people need help with that because that can be overwhelming. That can be overwhelming to focus on yourself, right? It can be overwhelming to try to quiet the mind and it be really noisy, or it can just be overwhelming to not know what to eat. All of these components of mindful pause can be overwhelming. And so support is necessary. And I definitely agree with that. If someone is saying, though, I want to know more, or how do I find out more? I'm on all social media platforms as Natalie Warren. So you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook. The website is awaken to power, the number 2.com. And I'm actually starting a group of mindful pause attendees. If people are saying, I want to learn more about it and possibly join it, you can certainly go there to find out information on how to do that. I'd love to support you.
Tell me that website again.
Awakentopower.com is the website. Able to find information on any of the social media platforms as well.
Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Anything else you want to share with our listeners? Because it is, when I tell you, it's imperative that we get to this place in this space now before the hustle and bustle of the holidays and more stress. So,
Mhm.
um, anything to share in enlightenment of taking them to take this intentional time to incorporate this now before we get into November, because once we get into November, December will be here.
And we're almost there, right? We're almost there. I definitely would encourage. There are two people that I would want to talk to. The ones who are feeling like I am already in a place that I know I need to pause. I need to take a mindful pause to take action. to take action. I believe that God gives you opportunities, and He affords us opportunities. And sometimes, if we don't listen to those opportunities, they get louder. They get louder, and sometimes the consequences of them can be greater. So for that individual, if you're saying I know I need to do something different, I really encourage you to lean into that. And you don't need to know how, you just need to be willing. You just need to be willing, and what God will do is put things in your pathway. And then for those who are saying I don't think I'm there, I would say to you, do something before you get there. And that's our culture, is we respond in the crisis, but you can take a mindful pause before you really are in a bad place. And that's also really good, because now you're having what I call like a reservoir, right? You have this bank already set up, when, not if, Aleigha, when something will happen, because we know that something can and will happen, something that can be stressful, something that can be life changing. It can happen to any of us at any point. So if you're not in a place that you're feeling like I really need this, you might actually be in a good space to start to incorporate some things and make them a habit. So when things are happening in your life, you know exactly what to do to kind of establish peace or calm or balance back into your life. So I would share that to both people or persons.
Good, good. And one more time for those who didn't hear, or they're like, now what did she say that was again? Tell them one more time how they can follow you, how they can, all that good stuff.
Sure. I'd love again to continue to stay connected. So on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, I am Natalie Warren, YouTube. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, all of those things is Natalie Warren. And then the website for the movement that God has given me, which is the whole woman experience, is awaken to the number two power.com. Awaken to the number two power.com.
And I should have asked you that a moment ago because I actually typed it the other way a moment ago. So
It's okay. It's okay.
all right, awaken the number two power.com. Got it that time, y'all. Got it that time.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Well, Nella, we totally, totally, truly appreciate you. Y'all, I'm going to share a mindful pause that the Lord actually gave me yesterday, unintentionally to me, but he's so strategic, and he allowed me to have a mindful pause moment, and I made a reel out of it. So I'm going to post that in the link when the show is over, and I want y'all to go watch that and just be present. Don't turn anything else on. Don't, do five other things. Just be present in that moment and just take that 17 seconds. It's only 17 seconds. And take that 17 seconds and go there. And that's going to be your first training to train your brain to shut everything else down and be present in the moment.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you need us in the future or you want to come on back and share some stuff, you're welcome. We appreciate you. And thank you again for those opportunities for emceeing your events because I had so much fun.
Yes, we did. We did. We're going to have to do something in the future very soon.
Yes, so you let me know I'm here and ready.
Yes. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you. I appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. All right. You have a blessed and awesome, awesome rest of your weekend. Thank you again.
Thank you.
You're
Good
welcome.
night, everybody.
Good night. All right. Thank you so much, Minister Cunningham. Minister Cunningham said that was excellent and enriching. And it was educational, excellent, and enriching. But y'all, it's also imperative that you say, you know what? I want you to look at this thing as life or death. Because when I tell you people are you're hearing people with strokes and heart attacks and so much going on because they're not choosing to take that moment and say, wait a minute, let me check in. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Let me check in. Okay, there's too much going on. Do I need to delegate some things to others? Do I need to step away from some things? Like she said, Holy Spirit told her, clear your calendar and make room. And many of us need to make room for him. You're so busy, you're like, well, Lord, I'm going to get with you tomorrow. Really? What if he told you that about waking you up this morning? I'm just saying. So, y'all think about that. And I'm going to play, thank you so much, Co-Pastor Coulter. I'm going to place that link in there in just a moment. And I want y'all to go, I want y'all to shut everything out for those 17 seconds, y'all. It's only 17 seconds. And I want you to watch that reel and just listen to the music and close your eyes and, well, listen to the music. Actually, I want y'all to do it twice. I want you to watch it and listen to the music. And then I want you to listen to it a second time, close your eyes and hear the words. And I want you to try to picture what you saw the first time with your eyes. I want you to see it with your eyes closed the second time. All right. Okay, y'all. So thank y'all so much. If you missed any of this, you got to go back and catch the replay because it was so good. We thank Natalie for joining us tonight. And next week we have Brianna Anderson joining us with Bounce Back. So after y'all take this mindful pause, some people who are ready to get some things going, this is going to help you bounce back. But you can't bounce back if you're not taking this pause and being present in the moment to release some things because y'all been too bound, right? And too burdened. So I love you guys. I thank y'all again for all of the birthday wishes and blessings. Y'all make sure you go over to my website and purchase something. That's my birthday gift from y'all. Um, but I thank y'all again. I appreciate you for joining us each and every week. I love y'all. I don't take it for granted. I get to do this. I get to come in and do this show with you guys. And we are going on December 9th will be 8 years that we've been doing this. And this was an assignment God gave me, and I absolutely love what I do. I am Aleigha. I was known as Miss On Fire to Inspire because of the name of the show and the book. However, God has renamed me. He said, I am now the Purpose Midwife. I don't birth babies, I birth purpose. I love you guys. I'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place.